And I want to welcome to the stage right now my friend NFR qualifier Annesa Self. Y'all give her a big hand. What's up, girl? How you doing? Good, good.
How's everybody doing?
It's a good-looking crowd right there.
Are your feet sore yet from walking and shopping?
I know.
Yeah, I saw some heads nodding.
Yep, it's long days out here. I want to remind everybody that we are streaming live on NRSworld.com, so I want to say hello to everybody out there joining us. Annesa, speaking of being busy, you've probably been making the rounds all day today. What's your schedule look like today?
It's busy.
I'm sure.
I've been going and blowing. I feel like I'm going more now.
Right.
Not competing.
Right, sure.
When I was here in 2008 than I am now, but
yeah.
I'm having so much fun. You don't really stop and think about it till it's about midnight here.
Oh, yeah.
Normally that's 2 o'clock my home time, so I'm tired.
And then those early mornings, you know, it seems like about 5:30, you know, boy, I'm wide awake, and I don't want to be, but I'm wide awake real early in the morning, so
yes.
I'm all messed up.
Yes.
Let's get right into it. I want to talk about, maybe briefly touch, we're going into round 4 tonight in the barrel racing. Mm-hmm. Maybe talk about a little bit rounds 1, 2, and 3, but touch on that a little bit and kind of maybe what we might see tonight and tell us about it.
Oh, the girls, I think that it's a really good barrel race going on here this year. You can tell some of the horses the first couple of runs, they might not have been as smooth as have they been in the past, but last night, Taylor Jacob, you could tell she finally had her mojo going.
Right, sure.
And I just have to say, she rode the hair off that buckskin. She did a great job. Mm-hmm. I was really proud of her. And there's a couple of the girls, they're kind of fighting their head right now.
Right, sure.
And one of them's a very good friend, Fallon, and I told her, I said, just go do what you want to do. You know, Tracy, the Curl Girl rep, she's real good friends, and so we all talked, and Fallon was like, I'm just trying too hard. I said, girlfriend, go have fun.
Exactly. And I think, you know, whether it's sports or roping or barrel racing or anything like that, you know, you got to do what got you here. And, you know, seems like whenever I've struggled doing anything, you know, and I finally relax and, you know, it doesn't matter anymore, and you know, take the fun back to it, and it seems like it'll make a difference a lot of times.
It really does. I mean, there's been times, you know, we all get frustrated at whatever sport we're doing, but when you're dealing with an animal and the miles and the pressure, you just have to stop and ask yourself, okay, I do this because I like it, I want to have fun.
Right.
And so you just need to take the pressure off and just go do what works for you. I mean, what works for you may not work for the next person, you know, and it's the same way with the girls running barrels. You know, every horse out there has a different style. So one girl may have to be checking her horse a little bit at one barrel, where the next girl, she's going to have to be looking up in the stands trying to ride up there and shake hands with somebody.
Sure, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, it's kind of fun to watch the girls run because the horses are so different.
Right.
And, you know, their styles, their strides. It's been a good barrel race.
Right, sure. I heard some interview or something like that, Sherry Servey, talking about how she's won more money already in the first 2 rounds than she won all year last year. Is that right, I guess, huh?
I'm sure it is, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's in any sport. I mean, my son, he plays baseball, and there will be days all he does is hit home runs or, you know, get on base. And like with roping or running barrels, you can't get in sync with your horse, or you keep getting the first barrel, leaving it, and it's so frustrating.
Right.
You know, but when you get on that mojo, I call it the mojo.
Yeah.
You're kind of your dancing partner.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's just smooth sailing.
Sure, you bet. I'm going to let everybody know real quick that this is a question and answer deal. So if you have a question, just raise your hand or come up here or shout it out. We'll make sure that we can hear it. But Crew Girl wanted to, if you do ask a question, we'll give you one of these bottles and maybe one of these handy dandy little koozies right here. So if you do have a question, raise your hand. And just to give you an idea of what we're touching on, I mean, it's barrel racing, yes, but we're talking about horsemanship, you know, hauling your horses down the road. You know, we're very fortunate to have a professional up here at what we do here. And so if you have a question on any of that, be sure and let us know. And but I want to get back to, you know, as far as, you know, the past rounds, I noticed last night, and it may be just a particular horse, but it seems like some of those horses, when they come around one of those barrels, it seems like they're maybe just pivoting on a foot and just, you know, they're just around that thing. And talk about the different styles, the way a horse moves around a barrel or something like that. When we're watching on TV, it looks so much faster than the other ones, but then again, you know, the one that doesn't look as fast has a better time.
A lot of that depends on the stride length of a horse. Like for instance, I don't know if you've been watching some of the pictures up there. The horse I made the finals on in 2008, Rare Dillon, he was like driving a Corvette. You know, when I bought him when he was 2 and I started training him, and I grew up on small strided quick horses. So him and I were just, you know, we were perfect dancing partners. And his style is more run right up to the pocket and kind of do it's a rollback, you know, but he does have some bend in his body, because if he didn't, I would be getting every barrel, and so it's quick. I mean, you have to hang on a lot in your, you know, from your knees and your waist and your thighs. You really have to hang on a lot to stay out of their way turning the barrel. And so there's another horse I call Scrappy, and he's a bigger horse, longer strided horse. And so in the turns, he feels slow. And to watch him in the videos, you know, to watch him, he looks real slow. And my timing, as many horses as I ride and train, my timing on him was a little off. And so I had to just think I was going fast. But I really felt like I was in slow motion. And so the timing on a lot of those horses, you know, whatever style or stride they have, the timing's very important. And I mean, I've got several pictures up there of different horses, and every one of them have a different style, different stride. And so timing on a horse is very important. And you know, a lot of girls, they want to pull to teach their horse to turn. They pull on them. For me, I actually released a turn, and that's my cue, my body language, and I released a turn, and then on the back side, I really don't pull. I try not to, you know, we all kind of get into positions or circumstances. You got to help your horse if he's falling down, or, you know, for instance, at Dodge City this year, my horse was scrambling the ground really bad, and it felt like we were going to fall, and I was kind of bracing him at the same time. I thought, we don't have time to fall down. We need to win some money. And so I was pulling, but not most of the time. I just try to guide him around the backside. And a lot of these girls here, even, you know, very seldom do you see them really just pulling, seeing that elbow come back. I mean, horses, we train them to turn, you know, and it's just like the calf horses. You train them to stop, you know. Reining horses, you know, all of them have different cues, and whatever works for you and that horse, that's what you need to do. You know, some people ride two-handed. I prefer one-handed because I like to hang on. I feel like the saddle horn's there for a reason.
Speaking of hanging on, since we've been talking up here, you know, I've started noticing a lot more stuff as far as barrel racing. I watch every run, and last night I noticed, I'm not sure who it was, come around the third barrel, and she got way over to the right there, and
I think I know who you're talking about.
It looked like it was almost curtains right there, you know.
She was making a nice run too, and the ground here makes your horse feel a little rough. You know, we're like deep sand, they can kind of melt into that dirt, and it's a lot smoother. Well, here it's pretty fast, hard ground, so horses feel rough. And she got loosened up a little bit, and she was riding two-handed into the barrel, just in case that, you know, she wanted to make sure she got by it, so she didn't hit it. And that mare, she turned it, and when she did, I saw Christy get loosened up, and she absolutely made a wonderful recovery.
And I'm sure.
I think she ended up winning, splitting second, third.
Exactly. And I'm sure that kind of stuff happens all the time.
All the time.
You know, it's just we talked about it yesterday. You know, you want to stay in the middle. That kind of deal.
You try to stay in the middle, but there are circumstances you get loosened up, and a lot of your core body muscles, they make a big difference. I really don't know the terminology, but I noticed a couple of them last night. They'd come around the first barrel,
and then they would kind of drift towards the bucking chutes maybe a little too much, you know, and then have to come around that. Was that just me, or did that kind of?
I am so impressed.
I'm telling you,
so impressed
I'm telling
with
you,
him.
You know, I noticed that it, you know, and then it maybe have to two hands steer them, you know, back around that second barrel there.
Usually what happens in most circumstances, when they do bow off the first barrel, they've either cut their pocket off coming into it, and so to keep from hitting it, they have to take an extra stride, and then that shoots them out of position.
Right.
And so when they take off running, then they kind of make this big figure eight back to the second barrel, and you have to, usually in this smaller pattern, you do have to go to two hands to try to guide them back over and get position for the second barrel. But I am so impressed with you paying attention.
That's right. I should win a True Girl bottle right there.
Yeah.
If y'all have a question at all. Do we have a question? Perfect.
I was just wondering what kind of feed and supplement you feed and why.
Very good question, very good. There's two different feeds I feed. There's a local feed mill there where I live in Sanger, Valley View area. It's Martindale Feed Mill, and I feed a lot of my horses that, because it's right there close and handy, good feed. It's real low in sugar. And I also feed Omeline 500 that has a lot of beet pulp in it. And I like both products, and usually I feed alfalfa and coastal hay, and also Oxygen is a sponsor of mine, and they have great products for your horse's joints, their stomachs, you know, their anxiety, just anything and everything you need to help your horse to be at performance capability. The Oxygen has anything you need, and I just kind of keep it simple. I don't add a lot of things to it. The Oxygen, they have a pellet that I feed that has everything I need, so the less I have to add, the better I like it. Very good question.
That is a good question, and she won a Krill Girl bottle
She
and a
did.
koozie. See how easy that was? I've got a question as well. A lot of, you know, folks that do, you know, whether it's bell racing or team roping or something, you know, at the most we may be gone, you know, with our horses traveling for a Saturday or a Sunday, that kind of deal. Talk about, you know, conditions of hauling your horse, you know, all over the country. You know, you may be gone for 2 months at a time, maybe longer.
A lot of the girls are gone probably 7 or 8 months out of the year.
You know, touch on that. You know, we're used to just making short little runs, that kind of deal, but what are some of the things, you know,
some of the things I really think is important to let a lot of people know is that horses are a grazing animal, and most of the trailers we have now are made with mangers, which is very convenient for us because it gives us more storage and places to feed our horses, but they can't put their heads down. And Mother Nature, the way they drain their sinuses is they put their head down, and a lot of people don't realize that. And so when you haul them for 4 to 6 hours, that's normally as long as I'll keep one in the trailer. I'll unload them and find a grassy area somewhere, hopefully, or sand, or just anywhere. You can't be really picky, and let them get their heads down to stretch their neck muscles, you know, because the top of their neck on their mane is muscle, and the spine actually is probably this far down underneath that muscle, so they can stretch their neck out. And you know, a lot of times I'll get a treat or something, and I'll have them stretch around to each side just to limber them up, you know, because you know how stiff you are when you're riding in a car for a long time. And so I really want people to know that the horse getting their heads down, I really think is important to let their sinuses drain, you know, and hopefully keep them from getting any kind of sickness started. And another thing that's real important is my horse likes to roll. If there's a little bit of dirt, even grass, I unloaded him in a Walmart parking lot and had a little grassy area, and I was just going to let him graze around, and he rolled.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, and that's kind of their natural way to, you know, like us going to the chiropractor.
Right, you can hear them popping sometimes.
You hear them popping, you know, or if you sit up in your chair and you know, twist around, that's how we kind of limber up. And the horses, they roll to limber up, and you might hear a snap, crackle, pop, but normally that's a good thing.
Right, sure. And that kind of leads to another deal that we haven't touched on, you know, as far as chiropractic work on horses, you know, and your horses, are you a believer of that?
I do.
you practice
I
that?
do. There's a lot of good chiropractors out there. I don't do it often.
Right, sure.
Just for the simple fact, my horses, you know, knock on wood, I don't feel like they need it.
Right.
But I remember one instance, I had a mare, Sassy, I have a picture up there of her, and she quit working on me. And, you know, all I rode on her hat as a bridle was a hackamore, and I didn't have to do any pulling or anything. And she started getting where she wouldn't turn. I was having to pull on her, and it just wasn't fun for either one of us. And it just happened that a friend of mine, she was like, well, why don't you have a chiropractor look at her? And I was like, okay, you know, I'm open for any suggestions. And so I had them come work on her, and they were, I'm not sure how to explain it, but they didn't twist or pull or, you know, make her get in uncomfortable positions.
Right.
They just barely made adjustments.
Right, sure.
And they said just stay off of her for a couple days, pony her, and go back to your headgear you're normally used to and see what happens.
Right, sure.
And that's exactly what I did. And she was back to the same old Sassy.
Right, sure.
And so I believe in having the chiropractor work on them. You know, there's some really good ones out there.
So you don't necessarily, you know, do it every 2 months or 3 months, but if you feel like, you know, when you get in that desperation mode, that something's not right.
If you can kind of tell if your horse something's not right, you know, or you know, if they've been in a situation, say you went to a rail race or rodeo and they slipped or fell, you know, that might be a good time to get one looked at.
Right, sure, exactly. I want to remind y'all we're streaming live on NRSworld.com, and we're up here with the NFR qualifier Annesa Self. If you have a question, just raise your hand and you'll win a, do we have a question over there, maybe? Yeah, there's a question. Good.
What are some good exercises you do to condition your horse, and how often do you do the pattern and while you're working on them and everything? How often do you introduce them to the pattern?
Well, my young horses, I usually get them broke, you know, at 2 or 3 years old, and I do a lot of pasture riding, just because it keeps them fresh and me fresh, and I'll go around trees, go up and down the pond dam, and just different things just to keep it fun for them. And conditioning-wise, on my younger horses, it kind of depends on what I want to reach. My goal for is that day. You know, if I want to teach them to side pass, or if I want to teach them to keep a round circle, you know, it just kind of depends on. I really don't have a set, well, I'm going to trot you this many minutes or lope you that many minutes. On a young horse, usually just the everyday teaching them keeps them conditioned. And my older horses that don't need to be worked, I usually kind of have a set time where I'll hard trot them for 5 or 6 minutes, 10, you know, kind of depending on the weather. If it's 100 degrees in Texas, I don't push them that hard. And then I usually lope them. I'll walk them. After I trot them, I'll walk them and let them kind of catch their breath. And then I usually lope about the same amount of time. And I back my horses quite a bit. I mean, a lot of people are like, barrel racing, you don't need to go backwards. But I feel like it keeps their hamstring down the back of their leg stretched out and conditioned. And you see a lot of girls, they get off their horse and they'll pull their feet out in front of them physically, you know, hold them. Well, I can't do that physically. I had neck surgery last year, so it's hard on me to do that. So I feel like backing a horse, you know, they're stretching the front legs too. And when you back a horse, sometimes if they're being lazy, they'll kind of drag their feet. Me personally, I kind of get after them, make them get up on their feet and a little more square, and make them pick that foot up and set it, you know. And I feel like that's a good conditioning exercise for, you know, young horses, old horses. Sometimes I even walk backwards to the barn.
That's a great question. Do we have another one over here? Looks like.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to see if you'd kind of touch base on, when you're shopping for a horse, are you big on cowbred horses, or are you like horses off the track, or both?
That's a really good question. And honestly, when I first started training, I kind of stayed with the more cowbred, a little bit of running in there. But I've gotten where it doesn't make any difference. If their personality, I like their personality or their conformation. I like one with the little grit attitude. You know, it's kind of like I can do anything, and that's kind of what I look for in one. And I'm kind of a laid back rider. I'm not real aggressive. I kick, but it's not a lot. And so one that has a little more aggressive, I'm going to go do it, fits me better. And instead of the ones I really have to work to get them to go fast. But I've got both. I have cowbred and running, and I love all of them. Very good question.
I got a question real quick.
Where's our man? Did you get your stuff?
I think she got her.
Okay.
You get your crew girl stuff?
Okay.
There you go. There you go. You know, we were talking a second ago about coming around the first barrel, and we noticed they were dripping towards the bucking chutes a little bit. Can you go into the arena during the day or anything like that, or whether you make a full speed run or a trot or walk? How does that work? Can you go in there?
Most places they do. Like here at the Thomas Mack, they set specific times that you can get in the arena. You know, like for instance, today's sent to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They let the girls go in there and set the barrels up. You know, so if a horse is being a little chargy, they can go in there and score them back. And usually that's not the circumstance here. Usually that's the timing and keep them from anticipating the turns.
Right.
So a lot of girls will just go in there and slow work their horses, walk, trot, and just kind of get them relaxed. Because 10 runs in the same arena, their adrenaline gets so intense in that alleyway that it's good just to walk down the alleyway and just let them be a horse and
sure.
be relaxed.
Right,
And
sure.
it's very important. And a lot of the rodeos, not even here, but they'll let you go in and work, And sometimes the girls don't even want barrels. They just want to go in the arena and just, let the horse relax and not realize that every time you come into this arena, we're not going to ask you for 110%. Just let them have fun. And I forgot to answer one question. She wanted to know how often I work my horses.
Right.
My older horses, I don't work maybe once or twice a week. If they're doing something to me that I feel I need to sharpen them up, I'll do it for about 5 minutes. And my younger horses, depending on that day, if I want, what I'm trying to reach goal-wise, teaching them, I probably don't work them maybe 10 minutes. And I figured if they're doing what I want to do, then that's long enough, because I get bored, so I know they do. And so I also work them on poles. I was telling a friend of mine earlier that I have my poles set up in the same arena with my barrels, and I'll go around the barrel pattern in a trot, and then I'll come back and I'll just trot them right back into the pole pattern. And I just kind of go back and forth, and my husband, he said, if somebody come out here and watched you, they probably thought you were crazy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But it works, it keeps those colts, happy and excited, and we're doing something new.
Right, sure. You bet. I can't believe this. We're out of time.
Oh my gosh,
I know.
already.
I know. You've been with us, for 4 days up here now?
Yes.
Are you back tomorrow?
Maybe.
Okay.
I was supposed to fly out tomorrow.
Right.
But my husband and my son, they've been iced in at home, and so I'm hoping they get to come out and
good,
join us.
good.
So they were like, well, do you care to stay a little longer? And I
Right,
said,
sure.
I'll do whatever you want me to
Whatever y'all want to do.
Yes.
Well, I want to say that I've really enjoyed doing this.
Oh, thank you.
And I watch the barrel racing now, with, it's different. You've changed the way I watch barrel
That's
racing.
great,
I like
that's
it.
great.
I enjoy it. I really do. And what are your plans, this upcoming year? Are you going to hit the road a little bit? What do you got going?
I actually I'm really excited about the winter rodeos. Last year, in 2012, I had neck surgery, and so I didn't get to go to Houston or San Antonio or any of those bigger rodeos. And this year, I ended up 19th in the standings.
Right.
And so I get to go to those big paying rodeos,
Sure.
and they're close to home.
Right, sure.
And so,
Yeah.
and I can go to the rodeos and still make the baseball games.
Right, you bet.
And speaking of baseball, I just want to tell everybody that I have to say a great big thank you to TJ, my son, and my husband Tom. The slideshow that you saw going up there, they put it together for me.
Oh, cool. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, they did a very good job.
Yeah.
They did a good job. Anesa, again, from the bottom of our heart, we really appreciate you doing this. I've had fun doing it. I hope you come back next year. Well, I'll say this. I hope you make the NFR.
Well, I'll make time to come talk
Perfect.
with you.
You have to
Even
now.
though I'm hopefully be running.
Exactly. You're obligated now, and we'll have you on the stage and all of that, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a hand for Annesa Self.